Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Vital Update. It is October 12th. We are right in the middle of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Sarah, how are you?
I am good. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning. I've been enjoying the sunshine. We've had a few days of cooler weather, and those days will be becoming more and more. So
Hey, I
I'm
think it's
excited.
supposed to get, there's a cool front coming either this weekend or early next week, I think. So,
Enjoy it while it lasts because they never last long. But anytime we can get some cool weather, it's exciting.
well, we are in the middle of literally almost halfway through the month. We're in the middle of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We've been going live with different tips every day to kind of educate people and help them learn about cybersecurity and some ways to protect themselves and their business. So that's been an interesting couple of weeks that we've been doing that, and had really some great conversations about it, and really just some education pieces. Today, I'm actually really excited. We actually have a guest coming on today that is going to specifically talk. I don't remember if we did this live or if it's coming up, but about the banking industry. And I know earlier we've talked about financial transactions. That's one of the things we've talked about. So the ones we've been doing every day have kind of been a short, minute and a half to 2 minutes. And then the vital update this month, we're just going to kind of unpack what that looks like. So we actually have Mollie Lagrange. Is it Lagrange or Lagrange?
Lagrange. You said it right.
Lagrange. And Josh Freeman from First National Bank of Jeanerette. And so they're actually going to come on and talk to us a little bit about what the banking industry is kind of helping educate their customers with, and some of the things that they're actually have identified from a email perspective of phishing simulation or phishing scams that may be out there. So before we get into all of that, y'all, welcome. Thank you all for coming. I just want to talk a little bit about the history of First National Bank of Jeanerette and kind of how y'all got started, how long have y'all each been there, and what your roles are with the organization.
Okay.
Sure. The bank was founded in 1905, started out in Jeanerette, Louisiana, where our main office is located and operated. In the early 2000s, they started to branch out into surrounding communities. With New Iberia being the second office, Franklin, and then Loreauville, Morgan City, and our last location that was launched last year is Lafayette out here on Camellia, where Mollie and I are today. I am the operations officer for the organization, and I have been with First National. This is my 8th year. Mollie, we welcomed in January.
Right. And I'm the marketing director, and I've been here for 10 months. So very exciting.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about, I guess, what are the benefits? Y'all are a pretty small hometown bank, and y'all have obviously grown and expanded that footprint. But what are the benefits? A lot of times when you deal with a larger bank, it's like, oh, you're just a number. It's hard to get that personal. The banking industry has always kind of been historically a personal thing, and then it's like now all these corporate banks keep getting expanding and buying up the smaller guys. So kind of tell us a little bit about the benefits of dealing with a bank like First National Bank.
Sure, and I think you hit the nail right in the head with that, Paul. The what we call them, Mollie and I refer to them as the mega banks. They tend to look at their customer base from a balance sheet or a set of numbers, and we try not to approach our customers from that standpoint at First National. It tends to be more about our relationships and our investment in the community, and trying to do what we can to invest in our customers and their dreams, their goals, and just what we can to build financial anything we can to help them along the way with their financial needs.
And so y'all are not just for personal, but y'all have business. Y'all obviously do loans, and y'all kind of do everything as well as even investments and things like that.
Yes, we're a full service bank here at all of our locations.
Correct.
So we can do any of that.
That's fantastic. Well, thank y'all for coming on today. I know y'all had kind kind of we had, I don't know if this was actually planned out for us to have y'all on for cybersecurity awareness month, but having you today is actually pretty interesting because y'all, we actually deal with a lot of phishing emails that we see all the time with our customers, and even personally, that these things come through and, oh, hey, change this routing number or do this, and it seems like that has ramped up even with 2020, when everybody went and transitioned to work from home. This particular scam kind of skyrocketed because it was so hard to kind of track down the people that were kind of asking and making these requests. Like, oh, everybody kind of went to a model where they were doing things through email as far as like verifying some of these transactions. It was harder to walk down the hall and say, hey, did you really want me to do this? It was a much different approach when you are all working from home, when you're not in the same office. So thank y'all for coming on. I know you'll have a little presentation we're going to go through. Sarah, if you want to take it away with Mollie, and y'all can walk through that. I'm sure I'll have some questions as we go.
Yeah, just to kind of get it started off, me and Mollie are both One Acadiana ambassadors, and at our most recent, we have meetings, like ambassador meetings every month, and at our most recent meeting, I was telling Mollie about Cybersecurity Month, and she was like, oh my goodness, we're actually doing a very similar thing. And I was like, girl, that is perfect. You got to come on. So while we talk about phishing scams across the board quite a bit, it's a very common subject for us to speak about because it is so important, and people are getting better and better at masking who they are, and they're leading people to fall for these phishing scams. I thought it'd be really cool to bring in Mollie and Josh to talk about the banking industry specifically, and all this information comes from the America's Banking Association. So without further ado, here is that information for you guys. Mollie, take it away.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, the America's Bankers Association, they introduced a campaign called Banks Never Ask That. It's an anti-phishing campaign, and it teaches you how to spot online bank scams by learning things your bank will never ask you. And it's just helping our customers and others like be able to pick out what we won't ever ask them, and to know that, okay, I need to call my bank and make sure what's going on. So this next slide shows us that customers lost $3.3 billion to phishing and other fraud just in 2020. And 2018 is 1.5 billion, and we can see that skyrocket when everybody goes home for COVID. I pulled out a fact: 54% of the most common cause of fraud is ransom attacks. So this next slide, phishing is most commonly reported cyber scam. We want to change that. These are some of the red flags that you can pick out on your own that we won't ever ask you. So asking for your PIN through text, asking for your social security number, or sharing a one-time code. And then through email, we won't ever ask you to download an attachment or send forms for you to fill out. And you can catch that by seeing misspelled words, and also by looking at the email address. If it's not associated with that person or that person's organization or this bank, you can tell just by looking at that. And we won't ever call you asking for your address or using scare tactics saying that we're going to close out your account. So that's basically the rundown of the red flags to look for whenever it comes to fraud. So this is just a screenshot of an email. So 1 in 99 emails is a phishing attack. So here are 5 clues that can give away a scam. Like I said before, you look at the email address and make sure it's associated with that organization or a person from that organization. And if it's not, then you know, okay, I need to call whoever it is and make sure that this is what they need me to do. There's also going to be misspelled words in there to kind of throw you off. They'll be using scare tactics, saying like, if you don't do this, we're going to close out your account. If you don't do this, we're going to take all your money out of it and, give it back to whoever. And then the links with suspicious URLs. So it'll be something totally, it might start off with like our link, which is your FNB, but it might end up saying something else at the end, like bankus.com/login or something that is not associated with our organization. And then whenever we send you an email, we won't ever send you attachment unless we've called you before and let you know, hey, we're about to send this attachment. It's okay for you to click on it. So these are just some things that we want to share with everybody, our customers, our non-customers, to know that this is what you need to look for. And if something comes up that is one of these 5 red flags, don't click it, give us a call. And we'll make sure that it is something that is coming from us. And if it's not, we'll let you know right away. Don't click on anything, delete that email.
I think it's interesting you have on there, 1 in 99 emails. I think it's probably more than that in
Probably
some scenarios, and depending on
But
what
even
industry
in
it is.
that instance, in that statistic, I get well over 100 emails a day across multiple email accounts. I know Paul gets over 100 a day, probably closer to about 300. And it probably is higher because I mean, I'm looking at these, I'm like, that's a phishing email, that's a phishing email, that's a phishing email. So it's insane how often they actually come through.
Right.
And this wasn't necessarily on your slide, but I do want to point this out because I've seen more sophisticated attacks that will actually, without getting too technical, they will basically get into somebody's email and start monitoring how they talk, who they communicate with, how they sign a signature, an email signature, and then they'll actually change some of those things very slightly when they try to send out the phishing email.
Mhm.
And so it may be where they spoof a phone number and the phone number in the actual signature is not actually the phone number to the bank. So if you are going to call, don't call from any phone numbers that are listed in the email.
Right.
Make sure you're calling the actual branch that you know that is a known good phone number, because I've seen that happen several times where they think they're calling in to the bank and it's actually not the bank they're calling.
Absolutely. You're just calling that person, giving them all your information right then and there.
Yep, and then also I know it's interesting to see kind of different industries now are taking cybersecurity a lot more seriously because of the ramifications, the uptick. Even like I said, in 2020, we've just seen that growth dramatically. And I know y'all have a lot of things that y'all put in place, and really that's the 2 things you can do that are the most effective is, 1, educate people like y'all are doing, educate your employees, your staff, yourself, kind of to know what to look for on these scam emails, and then also trying to put some things in to prevent. You're not going to prevent 100%. You can't. Any technology company that says we guarantee you'll never get hacked, you'll never get this, is just not. It's not true. I mean, you can't stop all of it. And like you showed with the 1 in 99 emails, the statistic for scams and where ransomware and stuff comes into systems, it's 94% of the time it's through email. So it's almost always through an email address or an email phishing campaign like this.
Yeah.
And specifically, it starts with the employee. So if you can do kind of the education part and start teaching them how to identify and recognize that, you can actually save yourself a lot of grief in the long run.
Right. And we have actually implemented that in our own organization to where we are teaching employees, we're sending out tests and making sure that they can pick out what is a phishing email, what is not. Because like you said, it starts with your employees, and then it'll jump up throughout the organization. If they click a link, then that leaks through your entire database.
And one of the things that we actually help companies do, and we do this internally, we do this for our customers, and we can do this for other people as well, but we actually do a phishing simulation where we'll actually try to craft an email that has some red flags in it, and then we send that to everybody in the organization, and we kind of see how many people clicked on it, who clicked on it, why did they think it was a legitimate email, and we can give that report to management to kind of actually look at it as who do we need to train, what are we missing on our training to make sure that you're getting the most out of some of that, and being able to stop it. So aside from that, also making sure you're having, trying to filter these things, and as much as you filter, it's kind of like, the more companies that come out there trying to stop the stuff, they're getting more and more innovative in how they're able to get in. In fact, I don't know in the banking industry if this is kind of tracked, but we see a big uptick in ACH fraud emails around an extended holiday. So if it's either, if you're off on Monday or you're off on a Friday, everybody's trying to leave town or trying to get out of town for stuff. And so you're not as aware, you're not necessarily thinking through some of those things. So I think it's fantastic. I think that's something that is very important. I love the fact that y'all are actually doing this and willing to come on here and help educate people about phishing. It's something, like I said, we see it every day. So when other industries and other people recognize it, it's nice to have, just to know that we have some support and hey, we're fighting the same thing,
We've done a lot of training internally, Paul, on continued education with advancements in technology. We've become more exposed like everybody else. So we've done a lot of internal training, like what y'all was saying, with the testing of mock situations and emails, to see exactly, what are our percentages, what people will click on, to where when it is a real life scenario, we don't have that breakdown. Another thing I'll say as far as like the holidays you're talking about is, a lot of times with these types of emails, there'll be like some sort of urgency or rush because they don't want to give the individual time to think it out or time to go back or talk to anyone. They want them to make, spur of the moment decision, and click a link, or launch something or executable to where it's just done real spur of the moment. And it launches this on whether it's your network or your PC or whatnot.
Yeah, and we've seen stuff from ransomware through links to ACH fraud to even, hey, go buy these gift cards, and they'll actually stay on the phone with you to go buy these gift cards and try to do all this stuff. They're just getting so innovative in figuring out what works, and once they find something that works, they just keep repeating the same scam over and over again. So I think it's one of those things where you're never going to
We're never
stop
going to
it.
totally eradicate it, but it's
Right.
just trying to like educate, and create awareness like what you guys are doing. And it does seem like it just keeps getting more advanced. It does. The most common one that I was aware of a couple of years back was, a Microsoft campaign to where they'd send people a link like, this is Microsoft, your computer has been infected or something, you need to click this link or launch it, and people would click it and they'd run an executable or ransomware phishing theme on their PC, and it would compromise all the stuff on their PC, and but it's become more advanced since then.
And now it's a lot of Amazon that we're getting. Now they're doing the smishing, which is the SMS phishing through text messages. So I actually get a lot of those. I'm like, okay, nope, delete.
Yeah, all of those are blocked.
Well, and y'all have been around, you said, since 1905, so y'all have seen, this isn't new. Like, people trying to scam is just a new way they're doing it. They're utilizing technology to do this. But the banking industry has always had challenges with scammers and things like that. So I think as innovation continues, you have to be even more innovative and more cautious on the front side too. So it's interesting to see how technology can be used for both good and bad, right? Because I don't know how you can even deal with banking today without doing it somewhat online, right?
The fraudsters used to be in our lobbies. Now they're just behind PCs, so it's just a different channel and a different way to combat them. And I just wanted to say too, Paul, is that the most common way, and a lot of people don't realize that we see a lot of fraud as bankers is email. So just for people to be careful with email addresses, with emails, like we said, emails that look funny, emails you're not suspecting. The most common channel we see a lot of fraud conducted through is through email.
Yeah, and like Mollie just mentioned about even the texting now, it's like that whole thing, like, you never used to get that, and now it seems more and more common. So it's always it's a cat and mouse game. They keep innovating, and you have to keep innovating around what it is. So I think it's fantastic that y'all are doing this for the community. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And y'all are doing a fantastic job as well throughout this whole month.
We're trying to educate as much as we can. It gets, it's one of those, it's a tough topic because nobody cares about it until they need to.
Right. But they need to care about it because you want to get in front of it and be aware and not be a victim.
Yeah, and that's why I really love the fact that y'all came on, because it's not just our perspective; it's how it affects you as a bank and us individually. Even with
It
dealing
allows
with-
us to put the term to almost to a face, because we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but people are like, oh, well, you know about cybersecurity. And I think and they may think we're being dramatic, but having someone who's outside and your main focus is on banking and just realizing how integrated that it actually can be into another industry, it's like, it might be like, oh, okay, well, this is real life. It's not just something that's said behind the scenes. Because even when it's on the news and we're seeing these huge ransomware scams that go on, and you hear about the employee that clicked on the link, people are like, oh, well, it never happened to me. It's a big company.
Exactly.
It's very easy to detach because it's states away or this huge corporation and it just happened to them. But being able to sit down with you guys as a local company and have these conversations, it's really cool. And thank you guys again for coming on.
No, appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for having us. This is
No
great.
problem. And if anybody needs any help with anything we talked about, or y'all need any questions for Mollie or Josh at the First National Bank, y'all can go connect with them on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and comment below if y'all need to. We'll make sure it gets to the right people. And yourfnb.com is their website, so you can hit that up as well. If anything y'all want to leave everybody with.
Nothing.
I think if something comes across, as far as emails like that, and it's something you're not suspecting, like we said, or it looks funny, or you're in question, pick up the phone, give us a call, and before you click something, you launch something. A lot of times, like I said, they're just expecting people to make a spur of the moment decision, and rush into something, and that's what they're hoping. You'll transfer money, or you'll launch something that just compromises your personal information. So,
And I think that's probably the easiest, best advice you can give somebody. If it's too good to be true, if it's urgent, if it's something that doesn't look right, pick up the phone and verify. There's a saying, trust but verify. So just make sure that you know who you're dealing with and who's on the other end of that email. And it's very likely, if something comes across like that, it's not accurate.
And when you call us, there's always going to be a person you're talking to. You're not talking to an automated system. So if something is happening and it's urgent, like they're saying, just give us a call.
Yeah, one of our bankers is here to help.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mollie and Josh, both for coming on. I appreciate y'all doing this and helping us educate the community on cybersecurity for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So hopefully we'll bring you back on another time. We can talk a little bit more about some business banking stuff when it's not cybersecurity awareness. I'd like to talk more about some of that stuff.
We'd love that.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all.
Thanks
Thanks,
y'all
Paul.
too.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.